Hey, this is Pat, and today we are checking out the all-new Scorpion EXO-R430 helmet. Now, I was a massive fan of the R420, which this is replacing, which was a Snell certified helmet under the $200 price point, and Scorpion gave it some key updates, mostly in styling throughout, but also getting up to that Snell 2025 price point. And the best news is they're still keeping it under that $200 price point, coming in at around the $180, depending on which size you choose and which color you go with. It's right around the $180 price point. So this is going to be a Snell certified polycarb helmet under the $200 price point, which is pretty rare in today's market. We see it every now and then, but Scorpion's always been the leader, and the leading one was the 420, so I'm excited to see this new R430 out there. One thing to note just out of the gate, if you are a very large-headed individual, 3 extra large and 4 extra large, the top 2 sizes in line, they're just DOT only. That is an entirely different certification process that I don't think Scorpion really wanted to go to for the amount of sales that they're probably getting in that range. So it is the same helmet across the board. It's just not certified to that Snell 2025 standard. It's just going to only ship with the DOT on the back. So if you are in that 3 extra large or 4 extra large size, just keep that in mind. But for everybody else, you are going to be getting the Snell certification shipped to you right out of the box. But let's start hitting some of the key features and then talk about it. Again, this helmet is probably aimed at most, and I wouldn't even say beginner riders, anybody who's just looking to spend under that $200 price point, but looking for the Snell maximum protection that you can get out of the 2025 certification. So when we start looking at the helmet, it is a polycarb design. Like I mentioned before, it is 2 shell sizes with the split at the large and extra large. So the first shell is going to be extra small to large, and then the second shell is extra large all the way up to 4 extra large, with those last 2 just being DOT only. But it is DOT and Snell 2025 for the rest of us with the certification, and the fit is going to be intermediate oval, so a little bit longer front to back than it is side to side, which fits most of the US market out there. But when I talk about sizing, I'm a size medium in almost every single helmet that I wear on the market. Size medium fits very, very snug for me. I'd still go with a size medium, but what that wants me to recommend is that if you are between sizes, when you take your head measurement, reference a size chart. If you actually are between 2 sizes, you might want to stick with a higher one, which I very rarely recommend, but this one fits very snug out of the box. Now you can always customize the interior and get the cheek pads how you want them after they start breaking in, but keep that in mind if you are between them. If you are spot in the center of one size, just go with that size and it'll break in over time. But if you are between sizes or at the upper range, you might want to start thinking about bumping up to the next one up the line. Last note is it is 3 pounds, 10 ounces in a size medium, a little bit on the heavier side, but when you factor in that it is Snell certified, which does add some weight to the overall main construction with the reinforcements for the testing certification, I'm okay with it. It is on the upper end, but it's also sub $200 and getting Snell cert. So when you add those 2 in there, the weight kind of justifies itself. We look at a lot of MotoGP helmets that are typically in the 310, 312 range, and those are high aerodynamic helmets, so I'm not too upset with a $200 helmet and under having the same weight class. But looking at the overall shell design, one thing I want to call out is just how streamlined it was. The R420, I love that helmet. I thought the Snell certification was great. It had a little bit of a frumpy alien predator head on the back, where it was a little bit bulbous on the back. I like that they've streamlined that. They put it into a spoiler in the back and just gave it cleaner lines. So hats off to Scorpion for the update in the overall shell. Everything else is super clean, nice clean lines. Even if you look at the top, really reminds me of a lot of the older Pistas and AGV helmets that used to be MotoGP helmets out there. Just having streamlined lines back to the spoiler, I think it looks really clean. Even on the sides, nice little hawk's bill. You can see if I lay it flat on the table, there's a little bit of space underneath there. That just gives your shoulders a little bit of an area if you're in the full tuck, if you're riding in a more aggressive sport position, or if you just want to protect your collarbones, it gives that relief on the sides. One other thing to call out, on the left-hand side, they do have a door for their EXO comm system. Scorpion always creates their own customized Bluetooth systems for their helmets. This is just the port that you can remove and then add in that EXO comm system in there. But one thing I will say is, too, you can easily mount any third-party market out there. You can easily just attach it on the side right behind that door. It's nice and small. It's not going to be too much of an intrusion when it comes to mounting third parties. So I like that they've made it for their own, but at the same time, given everybody the ability to use whatever ones they want out there. Looking at the back of the shell, I mentioned before, nice streamlined spoiler coming out the back and just a nice clean black, and you can even see the DOT and Snell stickers sitting on the back there. Let's talk about ventilation. You do have a massive vent up at the front as well as two up top that are slider based. They don't move as easy as I'd like to see out there. I think that comes with a little bit more of the budget price point that this helmet's coming in. I would have liked to see maybe it slide a little bit easier. It's a little, catches on itself, not the nicest feel. Down at the bottom, it's just a simple slide up and down. And again, one thing I want to call out, it is under $200, but I left it as it was when I got it out of the box from our inventory. You can even see the front vent isn't fully attached. So if I had one big nitpick from Scorpion at this price point, it would just be a little bit of quality control, which is something they can easily fix by contacting the factory and working with them on there. But I wanted to leave it unclipped in the front just so you can see. I could easily just smash that in. I think it would go right into place and be totally fine. I'd never think about it, but I wanted to show you, the viewer at home, just that it is still hanging off on the front on that one. So Scorpion, if you are listening, a little bit of attention to detail would have been really nice for this helmet. If we look at the back, you do have two spoiler vents hidden underneath of there, so it's going to be able to pull all the hot air out of your helmet at highway speeds. But again, mostly with the ventilation, it's just quality control. I would have loved to see maybe a little bit of a nicer feel, maybe a little bit more lubrication inside there, and even to the point where that hole for the ventilation doesn't even have any mesh backing to prevent bugs from flying in there. At highway speeds, once it gets in there, you're really gonna have a hard time cleaning out. Something in there, just a little bit more thought in the design process would have gone a long way. Really clean, flat, clear shield included. It's not pin lock ready. There's no pin lock in the box at this price point. That's not a surpriser, but you can always buy them separate if you really want them. At the front, it is a center lift tab. You do press down on the button underneath there to lift it up. Not the strongest detents, but it is nice in the upright position if you want to do that. Decent gasket all the way around and a great field of view. One thing I'd call out is with a gloved hand, a little bit difficult to find that button. You can, and if I just put pressure on top of the helmet, you can just pull it past because it is just a plastic tab holding it in there. So not a full true locking system, but it does have the button just to make it easier. If you can even see on there, it's hard for even just my finger to get to that button. Imagine if a gloved finger, it's gonna be even harder at that point. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, but you do get used to it, or you can just lift up on the tab and just hope that that plastic piece doesn't break. But again, under the $200 price point, that's generally where more simple designs come in. It is a quick release system if you want to swap it out to a black dark smoke shield on top of there. But again, it's pretty simple on the outside, which I think reflects a lot of the materials that they're using to get that Snell certification. But once we go inside is where I think a little bit more of the premium materials come in. What you can see is they are using a PU leather as well as some moisture wicking fabrics for the cheek pads. It does have an emergency release system. That's not something you want to use all the time. That's just in case of emergencies because it can break the tabs off. That's just the nature of that design. But when you get in here, if I undo the D-ring and get inside and unsnap those, it's just a 4-snap system to go ahead and pull these out. Once you pull it out, it is their quick wick technology, which they've used for quite a few years. It's contoured to your face. It's really soft, really comfortable. It's gonna be moisture wicking, gonna be something that's gonna pull a lot of the sweat away from your face on those hotter days. And you get that on both sides. I do like that they've added that pop of reflectivity on the bottom side. If you are in a full tuck or anything, you do have that little pop just hit cars behind you. If their headlights are on, they're gonna see you. Anytime we are more noticeable as riders, I always like when brands put that stuff in there just to make it a little bit easier. It is a removable chin skirt, which is included. You can see here, it's just a mesh one, so it's not really gonna be for colder weather, but it is gonna keep a lot of that wind out there. And then the top liner itself is still using the quick wick technology, but it is going to be something that has 2 snaps at the rear, right behind the occipital ridge on the back of the head, but up front it's going to be a brow mount, so it's going to be snaps in there so you don't feel any pressure points from any sort of pins or anything like that on the front. But just look at how well designed that top liner is. Again, a lot of area for air to flow out while still keeping the padding in place just to make sure that it's nice and comfortable if you are riding all day. Good channels on the interior of the helmet for the EPS, really good channels. I think that's gonna be something that flows a lot of air through the front of this helmet, through the back, again, with those vents that I mentioned before. They do suck in a lot of air. It does go to your face, it does go to the top of the head, so it's gonna be nice and cooling, but you wanna get that hot air out. On each side, you are getting again, I mentioned it's designed for the EXO comm system, but it does have 50mm speaker pockets, so you can include pretty much any third-party brand speaker inside of there, whether it's Harman Kardon or JBL, whatever it is, you have the option to add it in there. Plenty of space without pushing into the head too much. But really solid interior. Again, I like the materials they're using. I rode around this helmet for quite a while, and even wearing some sunglasses inside the helmet was totally fine. So if you are someone that wears prescription glasses, Scorpion has always been a leader in that front on making sure that helmets work with anybody with prescription glasses. Sunglasses gets a little thick with the thicker arms on the side, but again, was totally doable for me when I was out there testing out this helmet. But if you have any other questions on this new Scorpion R430, which I'm a massive fan of. Again, any Snell helmet under 200 bucks always gets a thumbs up from me. Again, if Scorpion, if you're listening, just a little more attention to the quality control coming out of the factories. But if you have any other questions on this one, click that info button. That's going to take you over to the product page where you can read other rider reviews and see what other riders are saying about it. Don't just take my word for it. Always do your research. And if you have any other questions after that, if you're trying to figure out sizing or anything like that with that between sizing with this model, give our customer service agents a call. They're all riders, happy to help you get set up on your next ride. I want to thank you for joining me in checking out the all-new Scorpion EXO-R430 helmet. I'm Pat. I'll see you in the next video.